So many questions answered for Syracuse football. A 35-20 defeat of Purdue in the first road test for head coach Dino Babers. One of the questions, Gotkin out for the rest of the season. A team that needed to be big in proving a test against a Big Ten opponent. And ultimately a defense that answered the bell, causing 4 turnovers. There were a lot of things that contributed to Syracuse's perfect 3-0 start. Now, back-to-back seasons for head coach Dino Babers, but there's much more to break down in that 15-point victory for the 'Cuse away from home. We've got all that and more to break down right here as Orange Press Pass starts right now. Hey everyone, welcome into our CitrusTV studios. Thanks for joining us after Syracuse's 35-20 win. I'm Johnston alongside the Adams family. That's what they like to call them here. Avin and Gotkin over to the left. So guys, it's a game where Syracuse did really well to really stay in the driver's seat. Maybe some question marks, but what are your first thoughts from the game?
Yeah, I think this Syracuse team, Jared, is honestly better than they were last year. I mean, when you look at what they did tonight against Purdue, last year was a close game. This time they were ahead right from the start. Like you mentioned, this was the second time at back-to-back years under Dino Babers where they started the season off 3-0. Last year they went 6-0, should have been 7-0, and I think this year they have a really good shot to kind of have a similar run, and they looked really good tonight.
For me, it's the classic saying, I don't think Syracuse necessarily won this game. Purdue lost it. I mean, 11 penalties for 126 yards.
Syracuse had 9.
Many of them important pass interferences, though. Those pass interferences on Purdue gave Syracuse multiple touchdown drives. And then those turnovers, my goodness, 5 fumbles and an interception. It was just absolutely absurd how Purdue was giving Syracuse the football, mistake after mistake. And at the end of the day, I mean, the Orange got the win, so you can't complain.
Hey guys, we remember the fireworks from last season in the game that really went down to the wire. 7 seconds for a final score. In this one, things were a whole lot different. We'll get into the highlights and break down what happened for Syracuse, this time visiting Purdue in West Lafayette, Indiana. Syracuse on the young season, 2-0. Purdue 1-1, trying to defend Ross-Ade Stadium. So Purdue had the first drive. They get it to 4-1. Go for it. Well, Hudson Card's going to have to get moving on his feet, and he's not confident in that. He fumbles the ball, and Syracuse gets to take it the other way. So midway through the first quarter, that gives Syracuse a chance to go the other way. Look at this man. I'm telling you right now, that man is not real. Unbelievable play fake. He takes it in for himself. Garrett Schrader puts Syracuse up 7-0. We head to the second quarter. A scramble for Schrader. That's what you expect from the big man. Number 6, all the way to the house. Hop on one leg, we'll take it. 14-0. Syracuse extends its lead. But Hudson Card found a quick breakout pass, 2-yard to Deion Burks. That cut the lead in half for Syracuse, 14-7 with 11:14 to play. And then LaQuinn Allen would get a 2-yard rushing touchdown, make it 21-7 at the half.
Yeah, I thought the Orange defense was stellar in the first half, and the offense really did its thing. Garrett Schrader looked really good. Great start for the Orange tonight.
But this is where Purdue came alive. 4:28 left in the third. Hudson Card takes it into the house for himself. 21-14 Syracuse. But then, what do you expect from QB1, a guy who's rushed over and over, sometimes better than he's thrown the ball?
I mean, he was perfect today with that QB sneak there. 4 TDs for him on the ground.
And so that's when things would really get interesting after that score. 8:38 left to go in the fourth. Tyrone Tracy brought it to 8 points, but Garrett Schrader would seal the deal. Remember the one in the first half, another one in the second, where Garrett Schrader finds space to break open, and that would be all she wrote for Syracuse and Purdue. 35-20 the score between the Orange and the Boilermakers. A fantastic record-setting performance from Garrett Schrader. 4 rushing touchdowns. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and honestly, the number that really jumps out to me is those 195 rushing yards on 25 carries. He was the lead back tonight, and if you remember last year, it wasn't as similar, but I mean, this was really the Garrett Schrader show, Adam.
How about Hudson Card on the other side for Purdue? 323 yards. That was a career high. 32 for 46. He looked pretty good as well. I mean, it wasn't just Syracuse who did some good things offensively.
Well, guys, no better than to continue breaking down the results of this matchup than sending it out to Indiana. Liam Griffin, he's got his boots on the ground. And Liam, thanks so much for joining us. I got to get you with this first question. What I was thinking really, when you think back to last season, was this result really a surprise to you? Think of the fireworks from that last game this year. Syracuse maybe in the driver's seat.
Against the 07 Patriots and the 07 Giants or Colgate in Western Michigan, anytime you outscore two opponents by that margin, it's pretty impressive. And when I look at Purdue, they just don't have the same dynamic on the offensive side of the ball that they did last year. Aiden O'Connell, gone. Charlie Jones, gone. Payne Durham, gone. Three key contributors from last season's Classic, none of whom were on the field tonight. And this Purdue team this season, you had a disappointing home loss to Fresno State week 1. You came this close to blowing a 17-point lead on the road against Virginia Tech in week 2. I didn't expect a whole lot coming in because Purdue hasn't been that impressive this season. So, Jared, to be honest with you, no, it didn't surprise me a whole lot.
Hey, Liam. Rocky Long was brought in this offseason, the godfather of the 3-3-5, and this defense looked really good through those first two games, only allowing 7 points, but this was their first real opponent. How do you think Rocky Long's crew looked tonight?
Adam, I think the word I would use is resilience, because when you look around me, it's empty right now, but this Ross Stadium crowd was packed to the brim tonight, and they were loud when Purdue was on offense and when Purdue was on defense. You can't imagine it being a little bit difficult for the defense, and it was the bend but don't break. Turnovers in key moments. SU turned Purdue over 4 times today. All of them came in SU territory early in the game. 4th and 1, Hudson Card fumbled inside the 5-yard line. That was a turning point in the game. And Adam, I looked to the fourth quarter as well when there was not one but 2 instances where a Devin Mockabee fumble was overturned. On the first one, Purdue wound up finding the end zone. The second one, on 4th down and 1, Hudson Card dropped back to pass. Isaiah Johnson said, no, and batted it down. So resiliency is what stuck out to me with the defense.
Hey, Liam, make sure to get a picture with the world largest drum while you're in West Lafayette for me. About this game, the main story coming in was that Oronde Gaston ruled out for the season. At about 5 p.m., the news came out. What do you think this Syracuse offense is going to look like moving forward? Tonight, it was Garrett Schrader running the ball 25 times. Is that going to be the new norm, or do we get back towards a balanced offense moving forward?
Adam, I don't think we can declare that the new normal at all. Garrett Schrader got hurt at the end of last season because he kept running the ball time and time again early on. 25 carries for a quarterback is not easy to recover from. So tonight, Adam, I think it was more out of necessity because, truth be told, Donovan Brown, Damian Alford, Isaiah Johnson, among others, weren't getting open downfield. And over the first 2 games of the season, we didn't see Schrader run at nearly as frequently as this. It was more on an as-needed basis. Yeah, you had a few drawn-up plays for him, but it was more on an as-needed basis. That as-needed basis was much more needed tonight. So I think we'll get a more firm picture next week against Army, who frankly isn't as talented as Purdue. If Schrader is running 25 times against the Black Knights again, then it's cause for concern. But Adam, like I mentioned earlier, it's a massive injury risk. So I don't think this is a good norm going forward.
Well, Liam, plenty of things to evaluate. Glad that we could get you on ultimately live from West Lafayette. CitrusTV debut for Liam Griffin and a fantastic 35-20 win for Syracuse over Purdue. We're going to take a quick break here on Orange Press Pass, but when we return, break down all of the key points from the game. SU receiving core, the defense that was spectacular, causing turnovers, among other things. All that and more when we return.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back on Orange Press Pass from Jared Johnston alongside Avin and Adam Gotkin. Plenty of things to break down from Syracuse's 3-0 start. And firstly, I mean, you look at what was done on the ground, but you have to give some credit to the receiving corps that was kind of spread around. Garrett Schrader tossing for less yards than he ran, but 3 guys did the job for Syracuse.
I mean, give credit to the receiving corps. 2 wide receivers caught passes for this Orange offense tonight. Garrett Schrader was throwing to nobody out there. That's why he had to do it all with his legs. I mean, Arande Gadsden II obviously out his #1 target, who played a huge role in last year's Purdue game, scoring the winning touchdown with 7 seconds left. But this game, Schrader had to do it all. The offense was all Schrader ran, and it was really impressive to see him step up tonight.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing what Isaiah Jones could do, what Amari Hatcher could do in the absence of Arande Gadsden, but they both had big old goose eggs next to their name. In addition to those two, what about the other tight ends? What about Max May? What about Dan Villari? Both absolutely silent. We had to hear something from one of those other receivers, one of those other pass catchers, and to me it's a massive concern that it was only Donovan Brown and Damian Alford and everyone else was silent.
Yeah, Adam, you mentioned those 2 guys, and LaQuint Allen also registering the receiving yards, so maybe something that Syracuse needs to work on heading into the future, but for now, it was what got the job done, especially in their signal caller, Garrett Schrader, who went 14 for 28, kind of shabby, but he gets 195 yards on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns, both those are career highs, but program records for a quarterback.
I mean, how about this performance from Garrett Schrader when everything was going against him? He stood up and he got it done. Career high in rushing yards, most touchdowns in his career. I mean, Garrett Schrader did what he had to do, and he did more than that. He got it done in the air as well. The one thing that worries me is he took a lot of hits. But that's Garrett Schrader at the end of the day. He's never going to be scared. You like it when you like it. You don't when you don't. But they needed him to step up today, and he did it in a big way.
I mean, you echoed everything I was going to say. He looked absolutely awesome tonight. I think that was one of the best games I've seen him play all around in an orange uniform. I mean, he had so many drop balls by receivers, so many catchable balls, and he played really, really well tonight. Probably better than expected on the ground. I don't know if we expected him to run all over this Purdue defense like he did. But, you know, you got to give credit to where it's due. I think we're going to be remembering this performance from Schrader for a long time as we talk about this team this year.
And so Schrader also did a good job protecting the ball. That's the next topic of conversation. Syracuse defense was terrific. It's worth mentioning 5 forced fumbles, 3 of them recovered, 1 interception. But the 5 forced fumbles, every drive Purdue had, they were letting go of the ball, and Syracuse ultimately did well, but Purdue's lucky that they didn't give up more.
Yeah, I honestly think that those turnovers were less about Purdue's carelessness and more about Syracuse's aggressiveness. I honestly think Devin Mockabee was shut down in last year's game, just 22 rushing yards for their star running back last year. And this year, it was nothing different. I mean, he was basically irrelevant in this game, and Syracuse's D-line was putting the pressure. Rocky Long was in his bag tonight with some of those schemes, those hidden schemes that he was whipping up, and it was really impressive from that Syracuse defense. I liked what I saw.
If you force maybe 2 or 3 fumbles, then I'll say, you know what, they were punching it out. They were doing a good job. 5 forced fumbles. At what point is that all on Purdue? I mean, that is insane to have 5 forced fumbles. I've never seen a team put the ball on the ground as much as they did and do it in important spots. Do it in the red zone. I mean, this was absolutely absurd. You put the ball on the ground 5 times and an interception, and there probably could have been another one. It could have been more forced fumbles, and just at the end of the day, the Boilermakers lost this game. They didn't give themselves a chance.
But what we know about the 3-3-5 defense from Rocky Long is that we see in these clips right here, typically that's just 3 rushers. But this game, you would see 4 or 5 come in at certain points that really put Hudson Card under pressure. Granted, for Hudson Card, this was one of the best games I've probably seen him play in his collegiate career so far because he had to do a lot with Syracuse shutting down the running game. But Syracuse's defense was really, really good.
Well, I guess addressing both the Adams, you could say that the penalties gave him the game or not. That's something that y'all could disagree with further on this show, but we can continue talking about Garrett Schrader over and over again because his stat line was just terrific. I mean, a career performance for the Mississippi State transfer senior signal caller that was terrific ultimately in this game. And a big reason why was when he didn't have his first or second option, scramble out of the pocket, create plays, get to the outside. A huge objective for Purdue in this matchup, stay in the game by keeping Schrader contained in the middle of the pocket, don't allow him to escape. But those edge rushers didn't do that, and what's the result? 4 rushing touchdowns against by a quarterback in a Syracuse uniform. Kind of insane when you say those words and say them over and over. That's what Syracuse fans are going to be thinking about overall the next few weeks. So it'll be a good time now to take another break here on Orange Press Pass. But when we return, like I said, a few disagreements, a game for the Adams family to play. Who's going to be the judge of this one? I am. The best takes that you'll want to stick around for right here on Orange Press Pass.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner! Go?
Excellent. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family. Oh, I thought you were on my team.
Welcome back again in our CitrusTV studios, this time standing up with Adam Gotkin and Adam Avin. I'm Jared Johnston. It's going to be a fun game here. Tell it to the judge. So I guess I'm the arbiter here. That's what they told me. I'm only taking instructions, but basically here's how it's going to work. You guys had a lot of takes when we were sitting down. So now I'm going to let you air them out. You give me an argument, I'll give you a statement, basically, and you have to agree or disagree. With your argument, I'll decide who wins ultimately. So, you guys ready to play?
Very.
I'm ready to play.
All right,
Your
so
Honor.
ultimately, thank you for the formality, but first one is going to go to you, Adam Avin. We'll start with you. Biggest thing, looking at this team, running back, right? LeQuint Allen. What's his outlook in the future? Is it concerning that he hasn't really necessarily gotten a ton of touches and Garrett Schrader's the main running back, if you want to call him that?
Yes, it's concerning that LeQuint Allen has had the role that he's had thus far. I mean, just through those first 2 games, he was basically a non-factor against 2 really poor opponents, and that's not what you want to see from your star running back. And Garrett Schrader has been running the ball a lot, and if he's going to be doing this much with his legs and taking these big hits, then I'm worried Syracuse isn't going to have that star running back to fall back on. He's not the Sean Tucker, he's not the speedster that can run across these Big Ten defenses for a guy that as small as he was. LeQuint Allen needs to step up to the plate, and I'm not sure he can do it.
I'm not worried whatsoever because this is the big thing with LeQuint Allen. If we go back to, late June, and it was announced he would be suspended for the whole season, this guy thought he wasn't going to be playing football this year, and then after that they say, you know what, LeQuint, you can play, but you can't practice for the first couple of weeks. So, you know what, it took some time for him to get going. He was the leading receiver tonight, and he had 80 yards on the ground. If your running back has 80 yards on the ground while your quarterback has close to 200, I think that's more than good enough.
I'm giving the first point to Adam. Avin.
Yes.
I do agree. Yes. I think, he still has a lot more to prove against those big opponents. So first point goes to Avin. We'll switch things up and now look at the penalties. Both teams got a lot of penalties, but Gotkin, what's the outlook for that? What do you think that could bode in weeks ahead?
Look, it's not good. It's bad. Penalties are bad, but the big thing with penalties is not that they happen, it's when they happen. And tonight, the timeliness of them just meant that it didn't really impact the game much. I mean, you go back to some of Syracuse's biggest games over the past couple of years. Louisville, they had 18 penalties, they still won it last year. Virginia, they had 12 and they still won. Tonight, 9 penalties for 104 yards. They still got the victory. They won all 3 of these games, and you look at those penalties and those yards. Yes, you don't want to see this many flags on the field, but at the end of the day, what matters is if there's a W or an L in the column, and so far they've all been W's, so if they can keep it up, they'll be just okay.
Yes, Your Honor, these penalties are an issue. I mean, the offense is good. I've liked what I've seen from Garrett Schrader tonight and so far altogether. I like what the defense has been doing too. But this is scary. You remember what happened last year against Clemson. Syracuse had that momentum. They were the top team in the country in penalties up until that point. And yes, they were winning those games. But what happened late in that fourth quarter? A late hit penalty on Cade Klubnik that cost Syracuse the game. Penalties got them into trouble then. And even though I like what I've seen from Syracuse so far this season, I'm worried about how those penalties will derail their season. And the only thing stopping them is those penalties.
This time I'm agreeing with Adam Gotkin. So far, Syracuse hasn't taken those late penalties, so we have to wait and see when that situation comes, how do they adjust? So far, these guys tied up at 1 apiece. The final question, pretty evident. This is a team that went bowling last year after starting the season 6-0. So my question is, not only do they go bowling, if so, what's the extent of that?
Yeah, I do think this team can go bowling. I like what I've seen from this team so far. However, there are still things that they have to work on. Obviously, the penalties. We got to see what's going to happen with the injuries and how that's going to affect this team. If Garrett Schrader is still going to be having to do it all, what's LeQuint Allen's role going to be? Is it going to be bigger? Is it going to be smaller? Will the defense be able to play the way that it can? But overall, I do think that this team is better than it was last year, and I'm excited for this team's chances to make it to a bowl game. I don't know if they're going all the way, but maybe the Duke's Mayo Bowl, maybe 8 wins, better than they were last year. I'm excited to see what this team can do.
Look, I want to see Dino Babers doused in mayo more than anyone else, but I think that this team has a chance to maybe go past the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I'll get into that more in a little bit, but look, this team has a great schedule going forward, and Dino's won 10 games before. Why not again?
Final point. Adam Avin wins it all.
I'm sorry I didn't call you Your Honor.
It's a good
No, that's not a big deal.
A little rig. Come on, I mean.
Gotkin, if you want it, you could take it to the Court of Appeals.
I will. This will be appealed.
We've got more time to wrap things up here in Orange Press Pass. We're taking another quick break, but when we return, take a look around the nation, around the ACC, future outlook for Syracuse. More to come on Orange Press Pass. Back for the home stretch of Orange Press Pass with Avin and Adam Gotkin. Jared Johnston here to take you through it. Syracuse with the 35-20 win over Purdue, improving to 3-0. But we've got a few more things to break down, and really that starts with looking at the overall picture. A lot of college football that went down here on this Saturday evening and night. I guess morning into Sunday if you want to call it that, but lots of great results.
Yeah, I mean, the one that stands out to me is that SEC one in the bottom left. Alabama 17-3 against USF. That one is shocking. I mean, I know they've been having a rotating quarterback system these first couple games, but this is just a brutal embarrassment for Nick Saban's team.
The two games that have finished, I mean, Missouri over Kansas State, what a final that was. Missouri over Kansas State, BC over Florida State. Two crazy close games. The one that jumps out to me, look at the top left. Colorado and Deion Sanders losing to Colorado State right now in the third quarter. I mean, everyone was talking only about primetime, and that's a 7-point game in the third quarter. Who was going to expect that?
For all the smack that Deion talked this week about the opposing team, you can't like that look for Colorado there.
It's not good.
Might need an extra tint on his glasses for all the lights that's coming at him. So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring that and look at Army as well. That's a team that got a win. That's the next opponent for Syracuse in the next Orange Press Pass as well on September 23rd at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I like Syracuse prospect against Army. I think if they've played the way that they've done these first 3 games, they're going to have some success in the Dome next week, and it's good to start a season off 4-0 for the second year in a row.
Army's gotten better and better every single week, I'll tell you that. This is the first year in forever they're not running the triple option. They're always pesky. It's going to be a little bit scary. You cannot look past it.
So I guess overall, if you look at that, way too early, what would be a prediction, win or lose for you guys?
I mean, I think it's a win, but it might be a little bit close for comfort.
Triple option's not gonna give it to him. But
look,
yeah.
I think with the way that Rocky Long's defense is shaped up these first 3 weeks, I mean, just giving up 27 points is really, really good, and I don't think that Army's gonna top what Purdue did tonight.
We'll see. We'll see. That's definitely something we'll take in at the JMA Wireless Dome. But we're right here in our CitrusTV studios wrapping things up for this 35-20 win over Syracuse. It's been a long day, but what are your final thoughts from a game where there's a lot of program records, but also, you know, some things to work on?
Look, I think that the Syracuse team has a chance to do something special. I'll be the very first one to tell you that I don't think they're very good. I think they lost a lot from last year, but look at the schedule. They go Army next week, that's 4-0. Home against Clemson. Dino always plays Clemson well, that's 5-0. You have Florida State, who just beat BC by 2. I mean, this Syracuse team has a chance to win a ton of games and maybe make it to the Orange Bowl.
You know, I don't think that Syracuse is going to go all the way, but I do think that they can have a really, really good defense like I've talked about so far, maybe even top 10 in the country. I mean, last year they were holding some really good opponents really low, and so far they've been doing really, really well.
Gotkin, I got to agree with you. Good result against Clemson, Army. We'll see how the Cuse do. That's all the time we got here on Orange Press Pass. We got to say a quick goodbye and see you next time.